Hello, first grade. It is good to see you. Welcome back to another drama class. Happy Friday, friends. So, guess what? We have talked about how to act in drama class, what the drama rules are, and we've talked about proper behavior, right? Bucket filling, how to make someone feel good, and bucket dipping, the things we want to avoid in order to make someone not feel bad. So we are ready to act and to use our bodies and to fully become characters and tell a story. So that is what we are going to do, right? We are going to truly read our very first story, and we are going to take the characters and we are going to act like them and use our bodies and find out about how they feel, maybe how they might fill their own bucket and someone else's, or how they might sometimes accidentally dip into their own bucket and dip into someone else's, right? So, our first book that we are going to be big actors with in drama class is called Chrysanthemum. Now that is a big word. Chrysanthemum. So let's spell it. C-H-R-Y-S-A-N-T-H-E-M-U-M. Chrysanthemum. Now, a chrysanthemum is a very beautiful type of flower. And as you can see, chrysanthemum is a very beautiful little girl mouse, right? So we are going to read all about chrysanthemum and the lessons that she learns about feeling good, feeling sad, and helping others feel great. All right, friends, so let's go ahead and let's get started. Chrysanthemum. Here's a fun little picture of her, right, to get us started when she was a little baby. The day she was born was the happiest day in her parents' lives. "She's perfect," said her mother. "Absolutely," said her father. And she was. She was absolutely perfect. Take a look at her, right? She's sleeping peacefully. She's a very cute baby. And maybe she is. Maybe she's perfect. But we'll see. It says, oops, sorry guys. "Her name must be everything she is," said her mother. "Her name must be absolutely perfect," said her father. And it was. Chrysanthemum. Her parents named her Chrysanthemum. Here she is sleeping again, right? She's very cute baby mouse. Chrysanthemum grew and grew and grew. And when she was old enough to appreciate it, Chrysanthemum loved her name. So let's take a look, friends, at all the things she's doing when she's growing up. Here she is, right? She's crawling with her rattle. She's eating food in her high chair. She's learning to walk for the first time, right? Sliding down a slide, being very brave. Riding her little tricycle, taking her first bath. Reading her first book. And trying on her very first jacket for the first time. And saying finally, "I love my name." All right? Okay. Sorry, friends, one sec. All right. So she loves her name, right? So far it seems like she is kind of perfect, right? She loved the way it sounded when her mother woke her up. She loved the way it sounded when her father called her for dinner. And she loved the way it sounded when she whispered it to herself in the bathroom mirror. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. And here she is, right? Here she is with her mother when she wakes up in the morning. Here is her father calling her to dinner, right? She loves it there, and she loves it right here in the bathroom mirror. There she is, all three places. She loves the sound of her name. It says, Chrysanthemum loved the way her name looked when it was written with ink on an envelope. She loved the way it looked when it was written with icing on her birthday cake. And she loved the way it looked when she wrote it herself with her fat orange crayon. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. So there it is, friends. Here it is on the envelope, right? Here it is on her cake, and here it is on her, on her with her big orange crayon, right? Okay, moving right along. Such a perfect name. Chrysanthemum thought she was absolutely perfect. There she is skipping along, right? Perfect, perfect, perfect. And then she started school. On the first day, Chrysanthemum wore her sunniest dress. See that big yellow dress with the red sun on it? Her sunniest dress and her brightest smile. She ran all the way. "Hooray!" said Chrysanthemum. "School!" But when Mrs. Chud took roll call, everyone giggled upon hearing Chrysanthemum's name. So we have, let's take a look at the students here. We have Dawn, we have Eve, we have Lois, we have Al, we have Les, we have Kay, we have Max, we have Sue, Bill, Pat, Tom, Sam, and then down at the bottom here we have Ken, we have Joe, we have Rita, who writes her R backwards, right? Victoria, and Chrysanthemum's name is so long, it goes off her picture. Oh, poor Chrysanthemum. Let's see what happens. It's not very nice. See, everyone's giggling at her name, and that is a perfect example of bucket dipping. We don't want to laugh at a friend's name. "It's so long," said Joe. "It scarcely fits on your name tag," said Rita, pointing. "I'm named after my grandmother," said Victoria. "You're named after a flower." Chrysanthemum wilted. And when something wilts, it just kind of shrinks and becomes small. So Chrysanthemum felt very small. Definitely more bucket dipping. No good, friends. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. And dreadful means something's really bad. Really bad. Poor Chrysanthemum. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and informed Mrs. Chudd that Chrysanthemum's name was spelled with 13 letters. That's exactly half as many letters as there are in the entire alphabet, Victoria explained. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Chudd. Now put your head down. Victoria sounds like, I wonder, she seems like she's doing one of the worst bucket dipping things to Chrysanthemum. I think that she is bullying Chrysanthemum, and we all know bullying is no good, right, my friends? Exactly. Okay. If I had a name like yours, I'd change it, Victoria said. Victoria is not very nice. As the students lined up to go home, I wish I could, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. So there's poor Chrysanthemum. She feels sad because Victoria keeps dipping into her bucket and making Chrysanthemum feel sad. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. My name is too long. It scarcely fits on my name tag, and I'm named after a flower. Oh, pish, said her mother. Your name is beautiful and precious and priceless and fascinating and winsome. Winsome is a fun word. You hear the word win, it means like you win at something. So if something's winsome, it means you always feel good, you always feel like you're winning. It's everything you are, said her mother. Absolutely perfect, said her father. And here she is, poor Chrysanthemum, getting a big hug from her parents. So they see she's sad, so her parents choose to fill her buckets, right? Chrysanthemum felt much better after her favorite dinner, which was macaroni and cheese with ketchup, and an evening filled with hugs and kisses and Parcheesi, which is a fun little game. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that her name was June. It was a very pleasant dream. Oops, sorry guys. The next morning, Chrysanthemum wore her most comfortable jumper, which is this little skirt thing she has on right here. She walked to school as slowly as she could. She dragged her feet in the dirt. Chrysanthemum, 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 she wrote. She even looks like a flower, said Victoria, as Chrysanthemum entered the playground. Let's pick her, said Rita, pointing. Let's smell her, said Joe. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. Poor Chrysanthemum. She's being bullied again, right? We're dipping into Chrysanthemum's bucket, which is no good, right? The rest of the day was not much better. Poor Chrysanthemum. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and said, "A chrysanthemum is a flower. It lives in a garden with worms and other dirty things." "Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria," said Mrs. Chudd. "Now put your head down." Let's see. "I just cannot believe your name," Victoria said, as the students lined up to go home. "Neither can I," thought Chrysanthemum miserably. Poor Chrysanthemum. "Welcome home," said her mother. "Welcome home," said her father. "School is no place for me," said Chrysanthemum. "They said I even look like a flower. They pretended to pick me and smell me." "Oh, pish," said her mother. "They're just jealous." "And envious, and begrudging, and disconnected, and jaundiced," said her father. Which are all words that mean that someone is being a big bucket dipper, right? "Who wouldn't be jealous of a name like yours?" said her mother. "After all, it's absolutely perfect," said her father. Chrysanthemum felt a trifle, which means a little bit, right? A trifle better after her favorite dessert, which was chocolate cake with buttercream frosting. Very good. And another evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that she really was a chrysanthemum. She sprouted leaves and petals. Victoria picked her and plucked the leaves and petals one by one until there was nothing left but a scrawny stem. And scrawny is when something is really thin. It was the worst nightmare of Chrysanthemum's life. Chrysanthemum wore her outfit with 7 pockets the next morning. She loaded the pockets with her most prized possessions and her good luck charms. Chrysanthemum took the longest route possible to school. She stopped and stared at each and every flower. "Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum," the flowers seemed to say. So, after that terrible dream, it looks like seeing the flowers helped fill her bucket a little bit. So we want to keep filling it, right? Okay. That morning, the students were introduced to Mrs. Twinkle, the music teacher. Her voice was like something out of a dream, and as was everything else about her. The students were speechless. They thought Mrs. Twinkle was an indescribable wonder. They went out of their way to make a nice impression. So there she is. Everybody seems to like her, right? Look at that funny shirt she's wearing. I don't know. Maybe Mr. Ross should wear a big drama shirt. What do you guys think? Mrs. Twinkle led the students in scales. Then she assigned roles for the class musical. And a musical is a big show where people act like we do, and they sing also, right? Victoria was chosen as the dainty fairy queen. Rita was chosen as the spiffy, which means very cool, butterfly princess. Jo was chosen as the all-important pixie messenger. And Chrysanthemum was chosen as a daisy. Daisies are small flowers. Poor Chrysanthemum. We just keep her bucket keeps on getting dipped into. We need to make her feel better. Chrysanthemum's a daisy, chrysanthemum's a daisy. Jo, Rita, and Victoria chanted, thinking it was wildly funny. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. Poor Chrysanthemum, right? So she's not being bullied so much anymore. Now they're bullying, and now they're making fun of her, right? Making fun of her all the time. Just dipping and dipping and dipping into her bucket. And remember, friends, how we talked about how when we dip into someone's bucket, we dip into their own? Victoria, Rita, and Jo are being so mean that they don't even know that they're dipping into their own buckets, right? They're laughing and they don't see how mean it is. It's too bad. So, poor Chrysanthemum. "What's so humorous?" asked Mrs. Twinkle. "Chrysanthemum," was the answer. "Her name is so long," said Jo. "It scarcely fits on her name tag," said Rita, pointing. "I'm named after my grandmother," said Victoria. "She's named after a flower." All right. Sorry, guys. "My name is long," said Mrs. Twinkle. "It is?" said Jo. "My name would scarcely fit on a name tag," said Mrs. Twinkle. "It would?" said Rita, pointing. "And," said Mrs. Twinkle, "I'm named after a flower, too." "You are?" said Victoria. "Yes," said Mrs. Twinkle. "My name is Delphinium. Delphinium Twinkle. And if my baby is a girl, I'm considering Chrysanthemum as a name. I think it's absolutely perfect." Chrysanthemum. So actually, wait, before we go on to the next page, friends, let's take a look. Look at how happy Miss Twinkle is about her name, right? Look at Victoria and Rita and Jo and how they cannot believe it, right? They just realized that they are, dipping into their buckets too by being so mean. See what happens? Now look at Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum could scarcely believe her ears. She blushed. She beamed. She bloomed. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. So I think that Miss Twinkle, right, just filled, completely filled Chrysanthemum's bucket. What do you think? Look how happy she is. I think so. Joe, Rita, and Victoria looked at Chrysanthemum longingly. "Call me Marigold," said Joe. "I'm Carnation," said Rita, pointing. "My name is Lily of the Valley," said Victoria. So, Chrysanthemum did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She knew it. And they're so happy now about her name that Victoria and Rita and Joe decided that they want their names to be flowers too. So they went ahead and filled their buckets because they saw how full Chrysanthemum's was. Excuse me. So there you go. See? Now they feel good. And everyone feels good. Especially Chrysanthemum. And this is what is called an epilogue, friends. An epilogue is a little thing that happens at the end of a story that tells you what happened following the main thing. So just a little snippet of what happened after the main story. So it says, overall, the class musical was a huge success. Chrysanthemum was absolutely perfect as a daisy. There she is dancing. Victoria made the only mistake. She completely forgot her lines as the dainty fairy queen. Chrysanthemum thought it was wildly funny, and she giggled throughout the entire dance of flowers. Eventually, Mrs. Twinkle gave birth to a healthy baby girl, and of course, she named her Chrysanthemum. The end. So the big lesson here, friends, is you don't ever dip into someone's bucket. And the more you dip into someone's bucket, the more it'll hurt you and the more it might come back to haunt you. Because something terrible might happen to you, and it serves you right because you dipped way too much into someone else's bucket. So that is why, friends, we always want to be bucket fillers. Okay, my friends. So, enjoy your weekend. We are going to talk all about Chrysanthemum and all the other characters in this book on Monday. And we will act out what each character does, what they look like, what they do. And we'll talk about their feelings, things they might worry about, and how they both fill and dip each other's buckets. And don't forget, my friends, this is the last day to go ahead and upload a little bit about yourself onto my Schoology page. Again, when you go onto Schoology, you're going to look for, depending on whether or not you're in Ms. Alanis or Ms. Wiedauer's class, find Mr. Roth's drama page on Schoology. You will see an assignment on the front of the page, and you will go ahead and you will click on the assignment. It's called All About Me, right? And there are some questions for you to answer, and go ahead and take the time to tell me a little bit about yourself. Okay, my friends, have a great weekend. We will explore Chrysanthemum a little more starting next week, and then we'll move on to so many great stories and other things in my drama class. Bye, friends. Be safe.